Everybody's saying, oh, it was a rough weekend. And it was, but not for Tulane. Green Wave with a huge win. Man, native of Mandeville, he's in his second year as assistant AD, communications director at Tulane Athletics, primary contact for baseball, volleyball, track and field, cross country. Served at Tulane for 5 years overall, and he's worked for nonprofit Caps for Kids, also in sports information at LSU, where he graduated from. Of course, Tulane upset Houston 31-24 this past weekend, and the Green Wave have homecoming this coming weekend, 2:30 p.m. Saturday afternoon at Yulman Stadium. Please give a warm quarterback club welcome to Curtis Akey of Tulane University. Curtis.
Kenny mentioned working at LSU for a short while. I was there for a year in 07 when we won the national championship. And of course, Marlon Favorite up here sitting next to me, so it's pretty cool to be able to chat with somebody who I've worked with in the past. But of course, Kenny mentioned this past weekend we had a little road trip to Houston where we played the Cougars and escaped with a victory. We played homecoming spoilers. We defeated the Cougars 31-24 in their brand new ballpark. Believe it or not, it was the first win for Tulane outside the state of Louisiana since 2011. We did win a couple of road games last year, but they happened to be in Ruston and in Monroe. So, of course, those are within the state lines. But it was really an all-around effort. I thought all facets of the team played extremely well. Tanner Lee had probably one of his best games of his young career, and you can see that this kid is just going to be really special down the road. He completed 24 passes, which tied a career high, 33 touchdown passes, which tied a career high, two of whom were two freshmen, in Teddy Veal and Leandre James, both local guys, so that was pretty great. Snapped a 10-game losing streak against the Cougars, which was a pretty important thing, and moves us to 3-6 on the season and 2-3 in the American Athletic Conference now. Another facet of the game we played very well in, I thought, was defense. They had a dual threat quarterback, Greg Ward Jr., who threw the ball very, very well, but at the same time, the defensive line held the Cougars to 90 yards rushing, which, if not was a season low, was awfully close to it. Played very, very well defense. We had 4 takeaways, and all 4 were actually interceptions. We just got word that the first drive of the game, we had a play where they threw an out route to a guy, and when he turned up, Lorenzo Doss popped him, and the ball came out, and Darian Monroe was able to scoop it up. They originally credited that as a fumble and a fumble recovery, but they just changed it to an interception as I was walking into the building here. But then we had Sam Schofield with an interception, and then Perry Nickerson, redshirt freshman from West Jeff, who's just playing lights out right now. He's got 6 interceptions on the season. It's a Tulane rookie record, and right now he's 3rd in the entire NCAA in interceptions. So that's a pretty promising thing that we can hang our hats on. We've got a lot of young talent on this team that we know in the upcoming years is going to help us become a much better football team than we're playing right now. Tanner Lee, of course, in that game with the first touchdown that he threw, he broke Ryan Griffin's record for touchdowns by a freshman. So that's another pretty interesting feat. He's now just 26 yards shy of Ryan Griffin's rookie record of 1,382 yards. So Tanner Lee, once again, putting his name up there with some of the best. Obviously, Ryan Griffin with the Saints, and he holds most of our Tulane records, even though we've had a lot of other great quarterbacks that have come through the program. The defensive line that I mentioned that held that Houston Cougar offense to just 90 yards of rushing. They had 7 tackles for loss, which got us back into the swing of things. We'd only had 1 tackle for loss the week before, and that broke a record of about, I think, 23 straight games where we had at least 4. So they got back into the swing of things. The thing that really impressed me throughout the game, and me being a stat nerd, I guess you could say, is we had 4 drives on offense of 80 yards or more. And in the short amount of time that I had to look at some stuff post-game before we had to get on the plane and fly back, I was able to get back all the way to 2008 in terms of our drives in each game. And I couldn't find a game, if my eyes weren't fooling me, that we had 3 drives of 80 yards or more. So to put together 4 drives of 80 yards or more with a redshirt freshman at quarterback, Dontrell Hilliard, who had an outstanding game for us. He had close to 200 all-purpose yards. And then we spaced the ball or threw the ball around a lot. We had 8 different guys catch passes, 5 of whom caught multiple passes, and 4 of those 5 were true freshmen. It's good to see this offense finally clicking, getting something done out there, putting long drives together. All around, it was a great win for us. We escaped with no major injuries. We had our left tackle, Arturo, who's Divinas, go down in the third quarter, I believe, and Kenny Santamarina filled in, and they didn't skip a beat. He did a fantastic job. Arturo will be fine. We won't have any problems with him. Looking ahead towards Memphis, we don't really have any major injuries that we have to worry about. Sherman Beatty, of course, is still dealing with a little ankle tweak that he suffered early against UCF a few weeks ago, but the fact that we're able to plug in a guy like a Dontrell Hilliard, who's been able to come in and have back-to-back 100-plus yard days, is very promising, and it builds a lot of confidence in the coaching staff as to what we have waiting in the wings. Looking at Memphis, of course, it's a 2:30 kickoff at Yulman Stadium. It will be televised on ESPNU. It is our homecoming. Memphis became bowl eligible this past weekend. It's the first time that they have been bowl eligible since the 2008 season. They average 34 points a game, and they only allow about 18. So they're a high-powered offense. They're a pretty good program. Their run game is their strength in my eyes. They average about 192 yards on the ground, and they've got a stable of running backs. They're led by a guy named Brandon Hayes, and then their quarterback is a very capable quarterback as well. He completes passes at about a rate of 65%. So we got our work cut out for us, but I think what we did against Houston, if we go out and play our game, if we minimize mistakes, minimize errors, and play as well as we possibly can, I think proof is in the pudding. We went out there and stole a win against Houston. So I think we're very moving in the right direction at this point, and so it's a very exciting thing. Like Kenny said a minute ago, I am the predominant primary contact for the baseball program, so I do want to change gears real quick, and then I'll take some questions on football or baseball, but I just want to talk a little bit about our baseball program. Obviously, we've got a brand new head coach in David Pierce. He was at Sam Houston State the last 3 years. He took them to 3 straight regionals, and before that, he was an assistant coach at the University of Houston and at Rice. He brought his entire staff with him, which I think is a testament to how much this guy demands respect, and the players and the coaches really like him. I think the coaches, one coach in particular, had an opportunity to stay at Sam Houston State probably to take over what they had built, and he decided to come to Tulane instead. So I think that just speaks volumes for the character of David Pierce, and working with him over these last few months, I can attest the man is a great guy. The whole coaching staff is great. The players have really responded throughout fall ball, which ended a couple of weeks ago for us. We had a couple of exhibition games, went over to Rice and played, and then we hosted UNO in late October, and played particularly well against UNO. Had some problems against Rice, but nothing that can't be corrected before we open the season on February 13th out at in Malibu against Pepperdine. They've built a really good schedule. I know we've had some struggles these last few years, but I really think that we're going to right the ship. One thing that Coach Pierce has really mentioned to the players is in 14 years of coaching collegiately, he's been to 14 NCAA regionals, and he doesn't want to go 14 for 15. So we're keeping our fingers crossed and hoping that we can get back to the promised land, because we know that the fans want us to get there, and the program really wants to get there too. So with that, does anybody have any questions about our football program, our baseball program, anything else? Hopefully I'll be able to answer them for you.
Without mentioning any names, what response are y'all getting with respect to the recruiting effort?
In football?
Yeah.
You know, the thing that blows my mind is the amount of people that you see on the sidelines before a game at Yulman Stadium. Now, I don't know if that's because the sidelines are a lot smaller than they were at the Dome, because I'm sure we had quite a bit of kids at the Dome as well, but I'm kind of in charge of corralling our home sideline, and I'm down there before the game, and you just see so many big kids down there. And the kids our team's warming up on the field. You've got some of our coaches coming over and talking to these kids on the sideline because they're there on a visit, and obviously you see these guys, their eyes just light up. These coaches are coming over and talking to them. In terms of numbers, I don't know how many numbers we have. I don't know how many scholarships we have available. I don't know, obviously, name-wise. I don't want to commit any NCAA violations or anything like that. But I think we're going to have a pretty good class coming in. These kids that are coming in are certainly passing the eye test. I can say that much. And I know that these guys are working diligently. If we've had 2 bye weeks this season. We're going to have another one the week of Thanksgiving, and I know that they're making their phone calls and they're doing what they've got to do in those bye weeks to secure future talent for the program.
I guess it's never a blessing when you get hurt, but do you think it was kind of helpful to Tanner Lee that he had to sit out a few games? Because prior, he was probably completing about 50% of the passes and turning the ball over. It seems like in the last 2 games, he's kind of settled down and got up into the 60s. And
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you never want to get injured. I mean, that's the last thing. But the thing is what I've heard and what I've seen is that Devin Powell, who has started games for us in the past, and Nick Montana, who has started games for us in the past, have really taken Tanner under their wings, and they've taught him because they know that Tanner Lee is the future of this program. I mean, they know that this kid is going to start him. He's a redshirt freshman, and he's starting right now. And Curtis Johnson made no secret that when Tanner Lee was healthy, when he was going to come back, he was going to play. He was going to start. And so I think that, when he got injured, he obviously had to prepare himself a different way. Obviously, he wasn't able to go out there and physically prepare, so he was studying game film, I'm sure, looking at tape and things like that, and working with his coaches, as well as his peers to increase his chances to make this football team a little bit better. And these last 2 games, you've seen him go out there, and he's played really well. And I think that this game this past Saturday was a glimpse of what he's going to be able to accomplish in the future for this program. And he's only going to get better. I mean, he's got a big arm. He's very poised. One thing that I didn't mention is that the offensive line, I thought, blocked very, very well for him the other day, and that makes a huge difference. So I think if the offensive line plays at the level that they played the other day, I mean, you're going to see an air attack from Tanner Lee because he's definitely got the capabilities of throwing that ball. He's a heck of a player. Running back health, obviously Sherman, he carried the ball a few times this past weekend, so he's not out. But anytime that you can put somebody else into the game, like a Dontrell Hilliard, and not skip a beat, I mean, I don't want to say there's no point in playing a guy like Sherman, but you don't want to risk a further injury, especially from a guy who suffered a season-ending injury as a true freshman last year. Same with Lizedrick Thompson. He got banged up a couple weeks ago. He did play a little bit this past week, although I don't believe he had a carry. But to be able to insert a guy like Dontrell Hilliard, there's so many of them, Dontrell Hilliard into the mix and have him do what he's done the last 2 weeks. He had 100-plus yards rushing against Cincinnati. He had 100-plus yards receiving this past week against Houston. As a real promising thing, and I think that's a testament to the running backs coach, David Johnson, who's been working with these guys on and off the last few years. So you might see a little bit more of Sherman over the next couple of weeks as his ankle starts to heal a little bit, but at the same time, if they feel like he's struggling or if the ankle isn't quite healed, you can put in a guy like Dontrell who's rattled off a couple of really, really great games for us in the last couple of weeks. I really appreciate you guys having me here today. Thanks so much.